Hi. Did you know that bad associations spoil useful habits? That's a scriptural quote. Imagine that. Bad associations spoil useful habits. Let's unpack that for a bit. Welcome to Testimonial Tuesday. I'm Kimble Rogers. Living in the digital age, we are constantly bombarded with trends to follow. One of those trends is self-care. Every influencer I follow posts a legs in a bathtub shot, generally displaying a wine bottle and beautifully laid out food. We're told to buy a face mask and to take care of ourselves. While I do agree with raising awareness about how important it is to prioritize our needs, I can't stand this superficial version of self-care, not only because it has no depth, but also because it is rooted in the consumerist society that we live in, as if our well-being depended on beauty products or an elegant bath setup. In my teenage years, I also believed that I had to consume in order to feel good. The underlying message in every magazine or television advert was, I was never good enough or good looking enough. I had to buy more trendy clothes. I had to have not a beauty regimen. What's the right word for it? I had to have a grooming routine. I had to spend more money on items that I didn't even know I needed. Time went by and I slowly realized that none of those things made me feel good in the long run. Now, I see self-care as something much deeper, doing what restores and improves my mental and emotional health. Reading, meditating, watering my vegetables, doing yoga, cooking a healthy, delicious meal, planning my next trip, spending time with my landlord's dog, and even cuddling with my girlfriend. However, it's a paradox. When it comes to the real deep version of self-care, people tend to think it's selfish. We are selfish if we think that we deserve some me time, regardless of how exhausted we feel. As a society, we see self-care as a guilty pleasure, not as a key part of our well-being. Many of my friends need extra encouragement to practice self-care because they see it as selfish. Self-care involves checking in with yourself and asking, what am I feeling? And what do I need? When many women are more accustomed to be asking, what is my child or spouse or parent or colleague feeling? And what do they need and how can I meet that need? Ironically, as cliche as it sounds, we can't pour from an empty cup. So try to ask yourself, how full is your cup right now? Have you been telling yourself that you are just fine because you are used to or even addicted to being busy, being productive, being perpetually on the edge of exhaustion? It takes a lot of discipline to actually find time and make space for self-care in our hectic lives, although I do believe that we can make space for what we truly prioritize. Sometimes it really isn't possible, no matter how hard we try. For instance, I used to do yoga every morning right after waking up. It felt so good. I could notice the difference in my mood and how lighter and happier I would be throughout the whole day. But that was when I was with an ex-girlfriend and we were living together. Now that I'm back at being alone, there are so many factors outside of my control. Either my landlord's dog starts barking and I lose my ability to focus and relax, or the landlord will call me for a chat, or Somebody else needs my help with something or another, or I have an event to attend. At first, I would get very frustrated for not being able to keep such an important part of my morning routine. Eventually, I learned that I simply have to surrender to circumstances that I can't control. This leads us to an aspect of self-care that we can all practice. Regardless of how hectic our lives may be, we can implement some principles in order to improve our mental health and well-being, even if we are having a busy day. This is where associations comes into play. So, first of all, give yourself credit. How many times do you envy the achievements of others without ever acknowledging your own? Probably all the time, right? This has to stop. Give yourself recognition when you do something that you are proud of, even the smallest things. Compliment yourself. Celebrate your victories. You are doing so much better than you think you are. Surround yourself with the right people. Please, do yourself a favor and put an end to all toxic relationships. Reflect on the people that you currently have in your life. Do they inspire you? Do they fill you up? Do they bring your best or your worst to the surface? Be picky with whom you spend your time with. Forgive yourself. Do you know that little thing that you did months or years ago that made you feel ashamed or embarrassed? It's time to let that go. Stop blaming yourself and show yourself some kindness. Change your negative self-talk. I'm sure you're familiar with your inner critic, that voice inside your head constantly reminding you of all the reasons that you are a failure. Replace it with some positive self-talk. So, it all depends on our attitude. Self-care is not about being self-absorbed. It's certainly not about consuming fancy beauty products either. Of course, if you feel like lighting some candles, soaking in a hot tub, do it. All I'm saying is, it goes way beyond that. Self-care is an everyday practice that is linked to how we see ourselves and the world around us. It's about checking in with ourselves and making ourselves a priority. It's about balance. It's up to you to decide what self-care means and how you can fit it into your life. But whatever it is you do, remind yourself, you deserve to do what makes you feel good. You're not indulging if you take time out when you feel overwhelmed. You are not being selfish if you focus on your well-being. And you are worthy of everything that your soul desires. Of course, being mindful every step of the way that bad associations spoil useful habits. Because it's your life. And if you don't make it a good one, well, it's not going to be very pleasant, will it?